that, I'm going to introduce Connor in the South, the Master and Club Growth Director South, Dave Spence, who will drive the rest of the presentation. And I'll be back for the Q&As. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. If you can't, please raise it again, and we can do something about the sound quality. But as we're going to go ahead and get started. Noemi, welcome to everyone, but I just want to take the opportunity to welcome you all again. And right into the first section, after we have just mentioned, as Noemi said a minute ago, how you can get a hold of us. Publish these emails and websites again at the end of the seminar. But things about District 4, you can use the District 4 website, which is D4TM.org. And then you can see here Noemi's email address and my email address, but you can reach either or both of us if you go to growth@d4tm.org. So let's best way to grow a club is club. Quality club meetings to join, and members who are already in the club want to stay engaged. Someone whose dog is barking in the background, is it possible to mute that?
Everyone, so I'm not sure.
Keep going. And that asking when they come to a club meeting is, what are they getting from being in a particular Toastmasters club? Right, are very busy, and everything we do is with in terms of what value we're getting from it. So we want to make sure that when our members and guests come into our club, they see something to them in the club. After seeing value, why bother to renew their membership? Then some other club where they do see themselves as getting value. Worst case, they'll drop out of Toastmasters altogether and go and do something else with their time. So again, why would guests want to join your club when they visit as opposed to or join a different organization? And others will say, I don't have time for Toastmasters. What thing is, I don't see value in Toastmasters. So are assessing the value of your club and the quality of your club. How do you doing that? Is there in mind up front? If you're going on a journey somewhere, it's where you're coming from and where you want to get to. That's the only directions you get will make any sense. In the club, it's important to know where and where you want to get to. One thing one tool you can use to determine the quality of your club is called the Club Assessment Tool. This is actually international, but District 1 Toastmasters have done a very nice job of the form of an Excel spreadsheet, which I demonstrate for you. But questions that you can go through this require and what areas you might need to improve in. It's on a set of international has found to be important for any successful club. The idea is to go through it with your club executive committee and members of your club areas, and you'll have a score summary table at the end. And some interesting to go through this with the officers and through it again with the members and see if they match up. And of course, it's important to do this honestly. The quality output that you get will obviously only depend on the input and that you answer the question. So be honest with. So what you'll see when you pull up the first time, and I'm going to do the actual live tool in a second, but it'll be a spreadsheet sections for you to go and fill in and get a AR at the end. The actual tool can see, everybody can see the spreadsheet. If you can't, go. The first instructions that I just showed you. The second tab, which has the actual tool. So for each of these areas, in terms of 0 to 3, 0 never, always. So let's have a few examples for club meetings. Quite start and end on time. You have 0 for never, for sometimes, usually 3 ways. You can put Toastmasters protocol, like are inducted into the club, speeches, etc. See club meetings, it's high look to visitors and members, program interesting and varied, is kind, things like that. For membership, visitors, so about communication, this is, and its members. So for is there a membership roster that's published frequently? It's 3 to 4 weeks in advance so that people know what's going on. And rate 0 to 3 here. New club office, educational activities, recognition. The third tab, which is called the CAP score, for each of but the possible scores, how you did, how the percentage, and then it assigns a letter grade. Gives you an idea of what that means. You look for particularly any gets an NI or needs improvement. So for case, we got a needs improvement for membership, improvement for guests, we got a needs improvement for club officers and member and club recognition. I suggest that you take a couple of those particular areas and focus on them with your executive committee and try and address those specific topics and the quality in those areas. And then you can go back and work through the tool again and measure specific improvement and membership first. When we've brought our membership number up, we can go back and work on guests, for example, and keeping through this every 6 months, whatever picks for your club as a way to constantly focus on the quality of your club and improve it. See where you are today, where you're able to go, or what you're looking for, and how we can all work together to get there as a club members and a club committee. Back to the presentation. This is to download that club assessment tool, but don't worry about copying it down because we'll send out in the information that we send out after the presentation. there and take some questions, if there are any, about the club assessment tool.
If you want to state your question, please unmute yourself. The other way would be to write it in the chat window. Works for you.
Echo in that question. Would it be possible for you to type that question? All right. We did some questions that were emailed to us before the webinar started. Although they directly to the club assessment tool, it does answer some of the questions that the club assessment tool can help you answer. What is the best way to help new members learn the details of your club without read a novel on the front end and without it taking a year to integrate them to other roles effectively? And a question was asked by Adam Kupfer from Adlib Masters. Some that we would have for that would be to ensure that all your new members receive a new member orientation and that they are assigned a mentor. And this is something that, although it is part of the VP of Education, this is something that you can work together as an officer team to make that possible. Something else would be to ensure that you have a place where all members, new and experienced members, can go for resources. For example, some clubs use the Google Docs tool, and it allows members to go as needed to get the materials that they need to prepare for each of the roles that they are taking on. And for the person who asked a previous question, if there's a way to maybe ask again.
To be taking this assessment.
That the officer team can take together. It's something that you can do also as a club. It's very important that you involve the club members in as many activities as possible, so that they're a part of the solution as well as what the issues may be. Move on to the next topic.
To the next topic then, if questions. About the club executive committee and the officers of the club. Another key part of a quality that can grow and also retain its existing members, because the club executive committee, and especially the president, that sets the tone for the club. It's the vision for the club with the officer team. So when we talk quality club, really the first has to be done is for the officer to sit down and decide where it is they want to go. Vision for the club is job to team to really ability within the club. And this is key that we have to accept. It's set expectations, decision, and people to be able to that vision and to those expectations. So one of the things that the club tool talks about is do people and cancel a speech at the last minute? And as guilty as everyone else of doing that, but the thing is that we're really serious about developing the club, then that sort of thing is just not acceptable. We need to our team and then hold both ourselves and our members accountable. That's just one example. If you cancel your speech, then to hold yourself, your officers, your members to high standards, and then rise up to the occasion. Really amazing high clubs. They actually start standards and set goals and set expectations that people really rise up and meet those goals and meet those expectations. And as a team, to also walk the walk. So we decided that we want all of our members to show up 5 minutes before the then as officers we should show up 10 minutes before the meeting starts and be there to everyone else. Possible to get officers to do jobs and here for club officer training and to enter another club officer training season. The website for a club officer training session and use it as an opportunity to meet other officers that are facing the same problems that we are, to find fellow district, and also make some connections with D4 leadership, maybe your area governor, your area father, or your division director. So use the training to learn new tools to help us do our job well. Well-functioning club, and also use it just to make those connections so that if you can reach out to other presidents or nearby and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Have you found something that one with training sessions is to actually just meet other individuals and learn from each other's collective experience. Currently posted club officer trainings. We'll send out the link to this page as well at the end of the presentation, but please go and sign up for a COT this season. The thing about the club team, of course, is that it's important that we actually work together as a team, and that happen is if we meet regularly together as a team. So another thing on is that you need meeting on a regular basis, once or at most once every 6 weeks. That things don't have to stay the way they are if you don't want them to. As a team, we can set a vision, we can set goals, we can set expectations, and work together as a team, and then also with our club members to make it happen. Let me just do the presentation. For an officer responsibility.
Well,
Sure that we have this and the reliable that we combine the tool, and then you talk about the officer's responsibility. Our experience, the best to come up with a realistic assessment and not criticize it or say that.
Correctly, because there's still a bit of echo in the background. So you're asking how to use the CAT tool to positive. Is that what you said? Or to identify?
You talked about involving the assessment so that you about the responsibilities of the officer, right?
Right.
Should we get a third person's assessment as well? That's really what I'm asking.
I think it's very important that we do, and one of the ways that you can do it is to get a true picture of the club, is to and many may try it differently, but this is a way that I would implement it in mine, and that is to give the club assessment tool to every member in the club and have them take it, because in a way it gives them the opportunity to take a step back and to see what the club should be like. One question, basically what the club assessment tool is saying is, this is what the norm should be at your club. Do you have it? And it, 0 never, 1 sometimes, 2 usually, and 3 always. And if every member fills this particular assessment and then you average it, I think that you will get a truer stat, and you can go from that point. We actually have some resources we're going to show in later slides where you can determine, based on what score you get for your club, you can determine those things that you can do to get it back on track. Did that happen?
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, there's really no end to the way you can use this. It's used by the club to evaluate the club, but you can also give it to the members, and then you can compare the scores between the officers and the members. They match up, or to see if there's a in or give it to brand new members and give it to and give it to older members in the club longer, and see whether there are things that are falling through the cracks with new members that old members know, and that, so there's that can be used, and I wouldn't limit it to, our area and use it. I think the more we can find new and creative ways to use it.
Sure. Thanks, Dave.
That if you use this tool, you'll be able to find out exactly how you're doing, and that will allow you to then in what direction you need to go. But even really important is the fact that you can use this tool along the way to measure your success on those new things that you're trying. Very good. Do you have any more questions? Dave, would you like to continue to the next topic?
Sure. Come back. So the talk about is the role of District 4, or the role of the district. We've used the officer tool to get biased assessment of your club's quality, the role of the club officers and how they have vision for the club, how they drive accountability, impress members the importance of the promise that we all made when we became Toastmasters. And it may sound a bit daunting, but we're sure that it's not something that a club has to do by itself or a club executive committee has to do by itself. The district is to help. Is if you are a member, even if you're a member of your club, you should get to know your area director. Their point of contact with, and every club has been visited several times by their area director, so they're familiar at how you can find your area director and other members with the district if you're not sure how to do that. Again, there's a page on the district for lists, and I'm going to just switch to the browser. I come in through the home page and you click on District for Toastmasters here, and one more after that you'll get to areas and divisions. And so, for example, for division, if your club is in Division A, or let's say you're in Division B, so we can show the tabs working. If you click on Division B, all the clubs in Division B, you can find, for example, if you're Hot Buttered Toastmasters, you tell area B4 and your director is near. This email link here, it will pop a window for you to send him or her email. What I would say is be with your area director, reach them today. And from your director, top, it tells you who your division director is. Paul, and he will help you contact your find out why they're not responding to your needs. And if it doesn't, if you get the response you need from them, then please contact one of us. And that was growth@d4tm.org, and we'll make sure that you get a copy of that later. So of how you might need help from the district. One idea as an example, if you're a club with 8 members, an open house, hard to fill all the roles if you only have 8 members. So one thing to consider doing is holding the open house. Instead, go ahead and have the open house, but reach out to your area director and ask them to reach out to the other clubs in your area and get volunteers to help you. Well, maybe you can get a guest speaker from, or maybe even from one of the district leadership to find club members from other clubs. You fill the roles for your open house. As you get member clubs to come and fill the chairs so that there's a good crowd in the room, and more so that the energy in the room is high when guests come to visit. You might use your help support you in holding an open house. There are many other ways as well. If you need people to help you brainstorm ideas for adding members or for attracting guests or things like that. For a few minutes and see whether there are any questions specifically about district support.
About open house in detail later, or is that all that's going to be mentioned about open house?
That's the very next topic that we're going to talk about is open houses.
Okay, thank you.
on to the next topic. And then if you do come up with a question for the topic we just finished, you type it in the chat box and we can answer it at the end.
Open House best practices. I agree of don't wait till you need members to look for them. Even clubs that have many or even more need to be recruiting new members, because it doesn't take much for a club, if it's a corporate club, to all of a sudden find that one day they members that they used to have. And there are statistics from Toastmasters that what percentage of your club you need to recruit on a yearly basis just to maintain the status quo. Fairly high number, you'd be surprised. So one of the recruit new members is to have this, and talk about that for a little bit. For going to hold an open house, make sure you contact us, because we have an open house director that can get involved for planning and any questions or support that you need. The absolute best time to hold an open house is in January or February. It's really an advantage of all of our New Year's resolution to change something or to start something new. Instant program help you in January or February. Here it's called the Open House Challenge, and if you successful open house in January or February, and by successful we mean that you add 3 members within 3 meetings, flyer and agenda to us, $50 in district credit to help cover the cost of the supply you had to use and have the open house in the first place. So to take advantage of this credit, and that will be active. The other thing to look at is the this again is available on District 4. I'll send out this link after the presentation and pull up the actual membership at the top, page for membership, and in that page that will take to another page that gives you information about it. This checklist looks like this. There are lots and lots of idea is that you can use it to help in your planning. Some examples are things need to be involved when you plan your open house. It is possible for the Vice President of Membership to pull up an open house single-handedly, but it's a work, and it's half the point of having an open house in the first place, which is to get all the members of the club working together towards a common goal and to accomplishment when it's successful. So the club is involved. You need to check off one of those competent leader projects to make it a high performance leadership. If there's somebody in the club that needs to do that. To plan well in advance. Give yourself enough time to and have a successful open house. Don't try and plan it 1 week and pull it. An important thing that is on the list here is to advertise, advertise, advertise. The people about your open house, the more people that, and within the district we find things like a very successful way to advertise: Facebook, web page, use put them around your company if you monitors, make posted on those, and go invite some of the senior executives to come to the open house, and with other ideas for PR, open house specifically, or for anything else that you some help for. And what I want to do for an open house is have some food and refreshments. People will come even if they're not interested in Toastmasters, just free pizza. And it's a bit of a joke, but often people actually see what Toastmasters is all about, then they really see that it has value and they are incentivized to join the club. Agenda on every seat, have people to the back of the printed agenda. So if they're interested, they can start to fill it out right there on the spot. Make sure your meeting at the end of your open house to Athens, or at least back and visit again. An officer team, talk about having the open house every single week leading up to the event. Make sure that there's 2 or 3 minutes for the open house chair or one of the officers to talk about how things are going and ask for the support of the club members so that it feels that they're involved. And make sure to attend and making a friend. So practices that we would suggest you bear in mind when you're planning an open house, they're all on the you can list as a planning checklist for the event. And it will pleasant take questions for open house.
Okay. I need this. Put it outside.
All right. Questions? Anything else?
For the open house, when do you think to have in January or February?
At the very least, within the next week or so, getting together as an officer team, getting together an open house committee. And this is the perfect time when you encourage members who may be getting close to achieving a CL or who may be working on announced leadership to participate, as Dave said, and maybe take on one of those key roles. For example, the house chairperson, the open house toastmaster, etc., so that members can get credit on that. So to answer your question, the sooner the better. Give yourself about a month so that you can be able to find a meeting and to get it going, and so you can advertise it properly.
Okay. And what like there's work to do every week for the meeting, pretty much?
And the work depends on what it is. Some tasks may require you to work on them every week. Some of them may not. For example, the food person may just quickly identify how and where the food needs to be obtained, determine what the budget is, etc. And it's as simple probably as ordering the food and then making sure that proper steps are taken to pay for it and for someone to be there to receive it. Then who's in charge of promoting it may do a little bit more work in weeks leading up to it, and part of it is making sure that enough advertising is done at the meeting and that enough flyers go out. If you happen to be part of a corporate club, maybe reaching out to the appropriate departments within your company so that your open house gets enough publicity within the company. You know, just using different methods like Meetup or Eventbrite or whichever venue you use to make sure that you advertise your open house properly. But if your question, how much work you devote to it, will depend on on the type of task, and of course, the more people that you draw into the organization of in the planning of the open house, the easier it will be on everyone.
So what's the typical number of people in a?
How many different things you want to do with the open house, but based on a standard, I would say about 4. You know, you have the open house chairperson, you have the food chairperson, whoever is doing the actual in charge of forms and things like that. So go through the checklist and determine how many people are willing to get involved with the actual process, and then you can determine how many different chairpersons you can have. But a good opportunity to get those members who may be close to achieving their, some level of their leadership project, whether it's the CL, the ALS, to deal with that, because not only will it make them more participative in what's going on at the club right now, but they'll all be able to reach the next level in their education. Thank you. Any more? Again, if you think about another question while we're going to the next topic, write it down or type it into the chat box, and in the meantime, we'll move on to the next topic. And Dave, the floor.
So we're going to just quickly and then have some more questions at the end. We want to just go over miscellaneous recruitment retention ideas. And circle at this point, at the very beginning, we have the CAT tool, the club assessment tool. You can use it to identify in your club that you want to improve. One good sense of where you are as a club and where you want to go. We have more resources on District 4 that might be of some help. And these are both sheets. I'll show you them both in a minute, but one is 116 ways to recruit new members. For retaining members, send these links out at the presentation. But if you need to work on recruitment of new members, for example, the D4TM website, ways to recruit new members. It's a PDF. You can download it. The idea here that you look through this list for ideas and the assessment tool identified, use them into your meetings each week going forward, one at a time or two at a time, in a way that helps the gap between where the club assessment tool shows that you are, where you want to be. So have a that may work for some clubs. Make it fun. That you want to make sure you have the schedule in place for the next 3 meetings. Masters at a club meeting, so you can have a themed meeting where everybody has topics. For example, pretends that they have minutes to make an elevator pitch about their Toastmasters club. Of course, is that you don't use every single one, but you pick the ones that are really helpful based on what you learned from the club assessment tool. And then the similar list, 106 ideas for retaining members. So if you work retaining your members, then you can do the same thing. Look at the club assessment tool, see what of member retention you might need to work on, and list 4 ideas that can help you close the gap as a club retention. We have another district recognition program that's to award clubs for not just new members, but also for retaining members. So this is called the District 4's 1-2 punch. It's going to run from January through to spring renewals. The first of the recognition is if you add 5 or more members in January and February, again, advantage of the best time of year to go and recruit your club. District will give you $25 district for your club to use however they wish. Come new. If you can all your members, that means the number that you had at the end of February on time for bills will give you $50 in district credit to use however you wish. But let me just sum up what we've talked about first. Look at quality and what it is provide members that you will take the steps as a club to quality and add to the value. Assessment tool, the CAT tool, you know, where you are and where you want to go. And with the club members, you can work to anywhere you want to go. There is available from the district. Work if questions at this point. We have about 4 minutes left.
That George Patrick Sanford typed in the chat box. And the question is, there are 3 Toastmaster clubs in my town. What are your thoughts on having a combined open house using the assets of all 3 clubs? These represent morning, noon, and evening meeting times. And advice to you, George, is to definitely sources of the other clubs and invite people to collaborate with you on putting them together. I would not recommend, though, holding a combined open house. It may be a bit confusing for guests. It may be a little bit awkward when faced with 3 clubs that all want your membership to basically decide when you're going to join. Each of your clubs, because I'm sure that like every other club, we all have different personalities. It may be you do a combined open house. So my question is, definitely in teams with the members of the other 2 clubs, if they're willing to do so, you may invite one of them to possibly be a guest speaker, and it will certainly help you with and conversely you can help them. But I definitely recommend holding your very own open house and let those guests see who you are and what drives your club and its membership. Any They're from Paul, England. And basically adding to my response, perhaps each club an open house at their meeting times, and the other clubs can agree to support each other. Absolutely. That's what we would recommend. That way you are distinctly get interested in what your particular club has to offer, and there won't be any chance of sending guests any confusing messages. Ahead of time from Jiang from Adlib Masters. The question is how to promote inside of the company. Mentioned it before. One would be to perhaps the monitors, if you have them, maybe flyers or any communications that may come from the Human Resources Department or Training and Development Departments. Usually those resources, if you can use them, are very handy because they reach every single employee in the company. Is of promoting within a company when it's a corporate club?
Or just briefly, the really well. Or first of all, if you can get a senior executive to stand behind the club, they have to be a member of the club, but it just means that when you go to talk to people about the club, you can say, you know, the vice president of engineering club here and really thinks it adds value. And the other thing is, if you have internal TV monitors in your company, get it posted there, because it helps people to, you know, where it is, and provide you with flyers from Toastmasters International that you can use, put on those screens, or to put on notice boards throughout the company. If you'd like, just send us an email, a PDF version of the, and you copy them as many times as you'd like.
All right. It seems like we're running out of time, but and the question comes from Lorraine Myers from Adlib Masters, and it says, "How can we drive more guests to our meetings? I know some clubs have always at each meeting, but my club will have guests likely. Sometimes we may go 2 or 3 meetings with our prospective members. What do we do to get them through the door?" There are friends. Most pastors join because someone invited them, and making your members part of that membership drive is very important. Perhaps create some kind of promotion within your club. I was visiting a club a few months ago where they started a membership contest, and the club was divided in 2 groups, and each group was asked as many guests as they could, and the group of with the group, they basically whoever would win, and the other part of the club would be the ones who would be seeing them during a potluck. Make it fun. Just come up with a game or something that will be of interest to your members, and invite them to participate, to be really active participants in that membership recruitment process. We would like to thank you all for taking time out of your evening to attend this webinar. If you have any other questions, we will make sure to answer them via email. And, for those questions that you asked we weren't able to answer, we'll do the same. Do you have anything to add?
Just thank you everyone for coming. We hope it was useful, and please reach out to us if you have any questions or this webinar raised that you'd like to have more information about.